Can a £300 gravel bike frame actually be any good? I genuinely wanted to know the answer, so I bought one. I swapped all my parts from my previous gravel bike onto it, and along the way, I made a few mistakes. And now, regardless of cost, the most important question is, how does she ride? Because for about the same money as an entry-level gravel bike, this build is fully carbon and electric. Now that doesn't automatically make this better, but it's definitely made me curious. Let's go. Cycling can get expensive fast, so my aim here was simple. Build something capable without buying everything new. I stripped parts from my previous bike to keep the cost down, but it was about building a smart one. This wasn't about building a dream bike. Let's be real, this is still a cost-effective bike. So the first step of the build was stripping my existing gravel bike. The group set, the wheels, some of the finishing kit, all reused. If you're willing to do this, you can save a huge amount of money. Now I'm pretty much done with stripping this bike with the bits I need.
From dusk till dawn, I turn my speakers on. Why they wanna play with the king? I told them meet LeBron. There's darkness in my city, wrong moves, and you won't see the sun. They be talking loud, but never been where the creatures hunt. And bleed for this dream, so why your eyes closed, but running through the pain.
Looking at the bike, there's nothing really that caused me any concern, to be totally honest with you. Just a personal taste. I'm not a big fan of all the silver bolts that are all over the bike. There's a few too many for my liking, and it makes it look a little bit cheap, particularly when it's supposed to be a matte black finish. So I've just gone out onto Amazon, bought a pack of replacement bolts, and I'll just replace them with black so they just don't stand out. Routing the hoses was actually really straightforward, even through the bars. I had to use the cable guides to get through the bars, but it was far easier than some of the handlebars I've had to go through before. Now I'm not a qualified bike mechanic. I've learned everything off YouTube. So unfortunately, there were going to be some mistakes made. And my mistake was when I came to bleed my front brake caliper, I forgot to put the spacer block in between the pads. And so when I started pushing through the mineral oil, one of the piston pads popped right out and oil went everywhere. I've absolutely knackered that brake caliper now. Alright, as I told you, I'm not a bike mechanic, but front fork is on, handlebars all in, cabling is all done, the shifters are on, they are connected to the hydraulic hoses, so there isn't actually that much more to do. In fact, I'm using one bike and it's the Wheeltop GEX. It's so easy. Next bit I'm going to do is the bottom bracket and then put the crankset in. So bottom bracket wise, it's BSA 68. It's the only one part I've actually bought for this bike, and I've gone on AliExpress and I've actually, not deliberately as such, but I bought a BXT branded bottom bracket. Just then, it gave me a little bit of confidence when I did see it that it should definitely fit. I've had a little test of it before we did the build. It seems to screw in quite nicely, so I'll get all that set up, get the chain set in, and then it'll start looking proper like a bike. I think with a lot of the cheap builds, some of the areas of concern are the brake caliper mounts and the bottom bracket. Now, I haven't had any issues with aligning the brakes. The caliper mounts were absolutely bang on, and the same with the bottom bracket area. My bottom bracket screwed in so easily. It's been such a straightforward build. So clearly price was a big factor in this build. And so we need to work out whether this was actually a worthwhile task or not. So what I've done is I've calculated if I bought every part of my bike brand new today, what it would cost me. And this build would be approximately £1,443. And in my opinion, as I said before, I think that's similar to an entry-level gravel bike. But what we're talking about there is aluminium frame, some heavy old wheels, and most likely mechanical brakes and mechanical shifting. This is fully carbon hydraulic brakes and electric shifting. That doesn't make it superior instantly. There's all different types of carbon, as we well know, and the Wheeltop group set Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. It does show what's possible if you shop around and you're willing to break from the norm of going to the usual brands. It's little details like this I've just taken off the rear through axle. They've really cared about the packaging of this bike. And for such a cheap frame, they've made a lot of effort. So how does the bike ride? Well, to be honest, it's really comfortable, but as I've said before, with gravel bikes, if you put 50mm tyres on, you're gonna have a fairly comfortable bike regardless. To answer the questions which the Nero show ask, does she hold her speed? Does she climb for days? Well, no, but it feels responsive enough. And as I say, this is the first ride, I only built it yesterday, but it's comfortable and it seems really responsive. I've got no concerns whatsoever here. And so a big question which I ask myself, and I dare say some of you might be asking, is would I do it again? Do I regret my decision? 100% I would do it again. I don't regret it at all. For me, I've had fun planning this build. All the times I've been thinking about it, getting items ready, and then going through the process of actually building it itself, I've really enjoyed. And for me, that's part of what I enjoy about cycling. As bizarre as it sounds, it's not just the actual riding, it's all the other parts that come with it. And having the ability to build your own bike, I just think it's really special. But this bike is personal to me. All aspects I've chosen and put on it myself. And if they go wrong, it's on me. But if they work well, it's also on me. So 100%, I would do this again.
Now my strides go, every single scar on my skin, another milestone. Battles in the dark came out shining with the lights on. Look, but I don't think they listening. I don't think they heard me. I don't think they listening. Nah, I don't.
So when I've watched videos about bike builds before, and predominantly the cheaper bikes, like your Trace Velo when he does his reviews, quite often they talk about how hard it is to feed the cables through. Part of that is sometimes because you're using your brake and your gear cables going through. So there's a lot to get through small spaces. But even still, just feeding through your hydraulic brake hoses can be a challenge. And that's one thing I found with this bike, was it was really straightforward. Around the bottom bracket area, there's a piece of metal in there as such, which helps guide the cable through into the chainstay. And with that, I didn't need to use any cable guides. I literally just fed the hose through the bike and it popped up out of there. So that was really good. Handlebar wise, it was a little bit of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. I did have to use the cable guides. It was more the first hole as such to get into the handlebars coming up from the stem. That was really tight, and I don't quite understand why it had to be as tight as that, to be honest with you. But yeah, that was the hard part. Once that was done though, then it was plain sailing after that. In terms of any faults or anything like that with the bike, I can't think of any. As I say, the only challenge I had was self-inflicted when I messed up my brake. The bike frame itself has been absolutely spot on. Obviously, it's my first ride today. Give it a few hundred miles and let's see what the frame's like then. But for now, it's been really good. In that build process, there was no issues with this frame at all. I mentioned before with the top headset bearing, I'm not a big fan of the way that is slightly visible. Not for the aesthetic reasons, but you're going to get water and whatnot in there, which isn't going to be ideal, particularly when it's all integrated in the headset. But when I spoke to BXT about my concern, thinking it was a faulty frame, they're adamant that it's a deliberate thing and it reduces friction on the handlebars. I've got no reason not to believe them. It's just an area that concerns me a little bit. So I've tried to pack it with as much grease as I could, and I'll just have to keep an eye on it over the next few months. As I'm reusing parts, you'll be aware that I'm reusing my Wheeltop GEX group set. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll be aware that I've had some challenges with them, with my rear derailleur breaking twice and requiring warranty replacements. As I said before in all those, that's somewhat frustrating. But anyway, when it works really well. And I will say that they've updated the app again, and the installation of the Wheeltop group set is so easy. Literally all you need to do is ensure that your top jockey wheel is aligned with your smallest cog on your cassette, and it pretty much sets itself. It's so much easier than when they first came out, when you had to literally program every gear shift one by one. And with that being the case, and the fact that it is a truly wireless group set, similar to SRAM but a lot cheaper, I think it's a budget amateur bike builder's dream, to be totally honest with you. I would recommend it to you. All I'd say is buy it from Wheeltop Direct, just so if you do have any issues, they will respect the warranty process. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy your rides. Take care. Bye.